welcome to this Microfocus webcast discussion on improving performance and cost monitoring in a multi-cloud world. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter-Arbor Solutions, and I'll be your moderator for today's panel discussion, Multi-Cloud Adoption Forces a Reckoning on Making Cloud Monitoring and Cost Management Really Work for Enterprises. After my brief introduction on our topic, we'll bring you a panel of Microfocus experts, and we'll then explore new dimensional research survey findings gleaned from more than 500 enterprise cloud specifiers. We'll hear about their concerns, requirements, and demands for improving the monitoring, management, and cost control over hybrid and multi-cloud deployments. We'll next learn about new solutions and explore examples of how new levels of automation, leveraging machine learning, are rapidly improving cloud management at a Barcelona bank. For now, let's begin with setting the stage for how cloud computing complexity is rapidly advancing to include multi-cloud computing and how traditional monitoring and management approaches are falling short in this new hybrid and dynamic environment. Enterprise IT leaders tasked with management of apps, data, and business processes amid this new level of complexity are, of course, primarily grounded in the IT management and monitoring models from their on-premises data centers. They've been used to be able to gain agents-based data sets and generate analysis on their own, using their own IT assets that they control, that they own, and that they can impose their will over. Yet seemingly overnight, the vast majority of companies already share infrastructure for their workloads across public cloud and on-premises systems. The current ability to manage these disparate environments is often all or nothing, with control in the hands of the cloud providers or all on-premises. In many ways, the ability to manage in a hybrid fashion has been overtaken by the actual hybrid deployments models. The cart is in front of the horse. IT managers do not own the performance data generated from their cloud infrastructure. Their management agents can't go there. They have insights from their own systems, but nearly none from their clouds, and they can't join these. They therefore have hybrid computing, but not commensurate hybrid management and monitoring. They can't assure security nor compliance, and they cannot determine true and comparative costs, never mind optimize for efficiency across the spectrum. But there's more to fixing the equation of multi-cloud complexity than extending yesterday's management means into the cloud. IT executives today recognize that IT operations decisions and adjustments must be handled in a much different way. Even with the best data asset and access and analysis, manual methods will not do for making the right performance adjustments and adequately reacting to security and compliance needs. Automation in synergy with big data analytics is absolutely the key to effective and ongoing multi-cloud management and optimization. Fortunately, just as the need for automation across hybrid IT management has become critical, the means to provide machine learning-enabled analysis and remediation have matured and at compelling prices. Great strides have been made in big data analysis of such vast data sets as IT infrastructure logs from a variety of sources, including from across the hybrid IT continuum. Many analysts, in addition to myself, are now envisioning how automated bots leveraging IT systems and cloud performance data together can begin to deliver more value to IT operations, management, and optimization. Whether you call it bot ops or AI ops, the idea is the same. The rapid concurrent use of multiple data sources, data collection methods, and real-time top-line analytic technologies to make IT operations work the best at the least cost. Similar rather in concept to self-driving cars, wouldn't you rather like to see self-driving IT operations? So far, a majority of you surveyed say yes. And we're going to learn more about survey information in just a moment. But let me introduce you now to our panel to learn more about today's interesting enterprise results. IT leaders are seeking to explore more about the next generation of monitoring, management, and optimizing solutions. We are now on the cusp of being able to take advantage of advanced machine learning to tackle the complexity of multi-cloud deployments to keep business services safe, performant, and highly cost efficient. Please allow me to introduce our panel today. We're here with Harold Burrows. He's Director of Product Management at Microfocus. He's based in Stuttgart. We're also going to be hearing from Ian Bromhead, Director of Product Marketing at Microfocus. He's based in Grenoble, France. And Gary Brandt, who is the product manager at Micro Focus based in Sacramento, will be joining us as well. So first, as we dig into some of these results, we'd like to learn more about the recent survey. So let me hand this over now to Ian, finding out a little bit more about how this all came about. Ian, take the information from our survey, and let's begin there.
Okay, thanks, Dana. The first element of the survey that we wanted to share is what's on the screen now. It's really describing the extent to which cloud is so prevalent today. And you can see that over 92% of the 500 or so executives are really indicating that we're already in a world of significant multi-cloud adoption. You see the lion's share, or nearly two-thirds of this population that we surveyed, are using between 2 to 5 different cloud vendors. But look right to the right-hand side, more than 12% of respondents are using more than 10 vendors. So, the world is becoming increasingly complex. Of course, this strains a lot of the different aspects, but let's just have a quick look at the second part here, where we see what people are doing with those multiple cloud instances. Now, as to be expected, people are using them to extend their IT landscape, interconnecting application logic and their own corporate data sources with the infrastructure and the apps which are in their cloud-based deployments, whether they're infrastructure as a service or platform as a service. We can see here that 88% of the respondents are indeed connecting their corporate logic and data sources to those cloud instances. But what's more interesting is actually that a good two-thirds of the respondents are sharing data and integrating that logic across heterogeneous cloud instances. It may or may not be a surprise to you. We were somewhat surprised by this, but it's nevertheless something which is a facet, clearly, of many people's architectures today. As they're building composite apps to serve the business, and it's a result of course, the need for agility and also cost reduction, but it's obviously creating a pretty high degree of complexity as people share data across multiple cloud instances. So the next aspect that we saw in the survey, Dana, is that 96% of the respondents, once again, that's 500 executives, are indicating that these public cloud application issues are resolved too slowly, and they're impacting the business in many cases. As you can see on this slide here, then some of the business impacts which occur range from resources tied up by collaborating with the cloud vendor to try and solve issues, extra time that's required to resolve issues impacting SLAs and contractual agreements, prolonged downtime. What we regularly see is that the adoption of cloud often translates to a loss in transparency of what's deployed and the health of what's being deployed and how that's capable of impacting the business. This, in fact, is a strong bias on our investment and some of the solutions we'll talk to you about. So a primary concern is regaining that visibility of what's being deployed and what depends on the internal on-premise as well as private and public cloud instances. People need to see what is impacting the delivery of services as a provider, and if that's due to issues with local or remote resources or the connectivity between them. This is compounded by the fact that people are interconnecting services, as we just saw in the last couple of slides, from multiple cloud providers. So the weak part could be anywhere. Could be any one of those links or even multiple of those links. Really, the trick is to know where those issues are and quickly. But as we can see in this slide, it's not really happening fast enough for many people, 96% indicating that the issues are being resolved too slowly. So what are the key challenges then that need to be addressed when monitoring hybrid IT apps and environments in this kind of context? And this is what this slide is showing. Here, people have discovery, understanding, visualizing, discovering what has actually been deployed and how is it capable of impacting their end-to-end business. They got limited access to the cloud infrastructure. And things like inadequate security monitoring or traditional monitoring agent difficulties, as well as monitoring lack of real-time metrics to be able to properly understand what's happening. It shows some of the real challenges that people are facing, I think. And as the world shifts to being more dependent on the services that they consume, then traditional methods are not going to be properly adapted to the new environment. Newer solutions are needed. New ways of gaining visibility, of measuring availability and performance are going to be needed. I think what's interesting in this part of the survey is the indication that the cloud vendors themselves are not providing this visibility. They're not providing enough information for people to be able to properly understand how service delivery might be impacting their own businesses. So in essence, you might think that IT is actually flying blind in the clouds, as it were. So one of our next questions was, across the different monitoring ideas or types, what's needed for the hybrid IT environment? What should people be focusing on? Security, infrastructure, getting better visibility, as we mentioned earlier, end user experience monitoring, right? Service delivery monitoring, and cloud costs, pretty high ranking aspects of what people believe they need to be able to monitor. Whether you're a provider or a consumer, and most people end up being both, monitoring is really key. So the list you can see here shows, I think, that people really need to span infrastructure monitoring, metric monitoring, end user, security, and compliance. But even that's not enough, because to properly govern service delivery, you're going to have an eye on the costs of what's being deployed and how can you optimize the resources according to those costs, and whether, if you're a consumer, whether the provider is actually providing what you're paying for as a service. So the next one really is starting, and this is the last of our survey results, shows the need for comprehensive enterprise monitoring, where people need things such as high availability, automation, the ability to cover all types of data to find issues like root causes and issues even from a predictive perspective. Clearly here people expect scalability. They expect to be able to use a big data platform. For consumers of cloud services, I think they should be measuring what they're receiving and capable of seeing what's impacting the service delivery. No one's really so naive to say that infrastructure is somebody else's problem. When it's part of the service, capable of impacting the service that you're paying for and that you're delivering to your business users, then you better have the means to be able to see where the weak links are. It should be the minimum to seek, but better still have the means to prove to your providers that they're underperforming and renegotiate what you paid for. Ultimately, when you're stitching such composite services together, IT needs to become more of a service broker, and they should be able to govern the aspects of detecting when services are degrading and maybe switch suppliers if they can to an alternative source. So when the service is more platform as a service, then workers' productivity is going to suffer. And the business will expect IT to have the means to reverse that quickly. So that, Dana, is a set of the different results that we got out of this survey.
Well, thank you very much, Ian. We'd now like to go to Gary Brandt and learn more about the need for analytics, how cloud solutions can be cobbled together anew, and to address these challenges fresh. Gary, let's hear a little bit about where we go from here in terms of solving some of these issues.
Yeah, thanks, Dana. So as the survey results were outlined, and as Ian described, there are many challenges and numerous types of monitoring for enterprise hybrid IT environments. And with such variety and volume of data from these different types of environments that get generated in these complex hybrid environments, humans simply can't look at dashboards or use traditional tools and make sense of the data efficiently. Nor can they take necessary actions required in a timely manner, given the volume and the complexity of these environments. So, how do we deal with all this? And this is where analytics, advanced analytics, and machine learning really brings value. And, really what's needed is a set of automated capabilities, such as those described in Gardner's definition of AI ops. And these include traditional and streaming data management, log, wire, metric, and document text data ingestion from many different types of sources in these complex hybrid environments. Dealing with all of this, when you are trying to, we're not quite sure where to look when you have all this information coming in, it requires some advanced analytics and some clever artificial intelligence-driven algorithms to make sense of it. So this is what Gardner is really trying to guide the market towards and show where the industry is moving. And the capabilities that they speak about are analytics that should allow for predictive capabilities and abilities to find anomalies in vast amounts of data and really try to pinpoint where your root cause is, or at least eliminate the noise and get you to focus on those areas. So we're making this report available for a limited time. And you see on the slide, there's a quick reader icon there that you can zap with your phone to get access to it. What we have found also is that people don't have the time or often the skill sets to deal with activities, and they focus on they need to focus on the business users and the targets and the different issues that come up in these hybrid environments, and these AI op capabilities that Gardner speaks about are great, but without the automation to drive out the activities or the response that needs to occur, it becomes it becomes a missing piece. So we looked at a survey, some of our survey results, and what our respondents responded with. It was clear that upwards of the high 90% are clearly telling us that automation is considered highly critical. You need to see which events or metric trends show clear impact on a business service, and whether that service pertains to a local on-prem type of solution or a remote solution in a cloud someplace. Automation is key, and that requires a degree of that service definition, the dependency mapping, which really should be automated and to be declared more easily, but more importantly, to be kept up to date, because in these complex environments, things are changing so rapidly and so quickly. So here is an example that depicts Micro Focus's approach to using analytics to make sense of this vast amount of data that's coming in from these hybrid environments to drive automation. The automation of discovery, monitoring, service analytics, they are really critical and must be applied across hybrid IT against your resources and map them to your services that you define. So those are vast amounts of data that we just described. They come in the form of logs and events and metrics, generated from lots of different sources across in your hybrid environment across cloud and on-prem. You have to begin to use analytics, as Gardner described, to make sense of that. And we do that in a variety of ways, where we use machine learning to learn behavior, basically, of your environment in this hybrid world, and be able to suggest what the most significant data is, what the significant information is in your messages, to really try to help find the needle in a haystack when you're trying to solve problems. Or we have capabilities through analytics to provide predictive alerting to operators, to give them the chance to anticipate and to remediate issues before they disrupt the services in a company's environment. And then we take this further. Because we have these analytic capabilities as described by Gardner and others, we couple that with the ability to execute runbooks or different types of automation as a means to let the operation teams have more time to spend on what's really impacting the business and getting to the issues quicker than trying to spend time searching and sorting through that vast amount of data. And we build this on different platforms. And one of the key things that's critical when you have this hybrid environment is to have a common way or an efficient way to collect information and to store information, and then use that data to provide access to different functionality in your system, and we do that in the form of microservices in this complex environment. So we like to refer to this as autonomous operations, and it's part of our OpsBridge solution, which embodies a lot of different patented capabilities around our AI ops. And we're going to share a little bit more about that. Harold's going to speak to our OpsBridge solution in more detail. So Dana, I'll throw it back to you, and we can learn about OpsBridge in more detail here.
Thank you very much, Gary. Yes, now that we know more about what users need and consider essential, let's explore a high-level look at where the solutions are going, how to access and assemble the data, and what new analytics platforms can do. So let's now hear from Harold Burrows. Take it away, Harold. You're Director of Product Management at Micro Focus, just to remind our audience.
Yes, so when we're looking at our Operations Bridge solution and we listen carefully to the different problems that Ian was highlighting, we actually have a lot of those problems addressed in the Operations Bridge solution that we actually bring to market. All the core use cases that the Operations Bridge tries to do are underpinned by the Vertica or the big data analytics platform that we are having. And we are consolidating all the different types of data that we're getting, whether business transactions, whether IT infrastructure, whether application infrastructure or business services data. All of that is actually moved into a single data repository and then reduced in order to basically understand what the original root cause actually is. And then from there, help with tools like analytics that you just saw in a screenshot from Gary to really identify it. And most importantly, as you heard from Gary, it's not just about identifying the root cause, it's about remediation. Fix the actual problem utilizing automation. I'll be talking about that in a few slides. Now, once all of that is done, make it as easy as possible to understand, to all the stakeholders to understand what the status is and provide really the right dashboarding and the right reporting and the right interface to the right user is a key element, and that across the hybrid cloud infrastructure. So as we are diving in and trying to understand these different elements, I think it's really key. We heard at the beginning that customers, more than 88%, are connecting their actual cloud infrastructure to the on-premise infrastructure. And the ability to understand that connectivity through a dynamic updated model that we are discovering and be able on how these services are interconnecting, independent on the technology, whether deployed in the public cloud or in a private cloud stack or even in a very classical non-cloud infrastructure at all, and understand how they are connecting and using the ability of the toolset to navigate through it, using a modern interface like an HTML5-based interface to look at all the data in one place, be able to consolidate more than 250 different technologies and information into a single place, whether log files, whether events, metrics, topology, everything together to really understand the health. That is the key element that we drive with the Operations Bridge forward, and you see a screenshot here that actually highlights those different elements that I was talking about. So really being able to consolidate this and making sense out of it and actually only highlighting and only opening a ticket for the key element that is important, that describing the problem rather than for all the other symptoms that you see in the environment is really the key element. Now, specifically for the cloud, we actually have extended it further. We basically took it to this capability, generic capability, and made it work specifically for the different cloud stacks, whether private cloud, that'll be an Azure Stack implementation, let it be a hyperconverged stack with like Nutanix, let it be a Docker infrastructure that you're bringing up, or the public cloud infrastructure like Azure, Amazon, also Google Cloud, covering not only the infrastructure as a service, but also the platform as a service services, such as RDS, etc. We are automatically discovering, we are automatically putting that into the context of your business service application using our automatic service modeling part of the Operations Bridge. Once we actually integrate those tool sets, we tightly integrate them, whether these are Amazon taggings that we can take on to drive policies when you are going into the Amazon portal to deploy applications, whether these are native tools to just natively, like in the example here, the Docker tools, include tools to allow you to automate processes from within our console. And best of it, we get the positive feedback by the community, by the customers. And the feedback is, what is better than the customers choosing you as best of choice for the community, for cloud monitoring, and that's what got us a Reader Choice Award by the Cloud Computing Insider in 2017, being able to be ahead of other competitors that we saw in this space. So really something that is key. But as we said, it's not all about getting the data together, using the machine learning that Gary showed you in order to understand the problem, or using the capability to connect these things together. At the end of the day, you need to act on the activity. So thus, having a full-blown orchestration capability with our operations orchestration provides more than 5,000 automated workflows for you to automate those different remediation tasks, or potentially future provisioning tasks that solves the problem, whatever you can imagine, actually to drive and fix the problem, actually directly integrate in the product. So if you get something in, reduce it to the root cause, you automatically can have a workflow that get directly kicked off in order to address the problem. If you then don't want to address the problem through the workflow or cannot automatically address it, you have a rich set of tools that you can directly integrate in, as I mentioned, the domain tools, as you saw on the previous slide, that we actually can use in order to manually then address the problem. Now, last but not least, as I said, once you drive all of that, you need to keep your stakeholders up to date. They need to know anywhere they go whether they actually, the services are working, are running, and there we're basically using a real-time dashboarding capability that is very open and can integrate any type of data, not just the operational data that we are collecting and managing with the operations bridge, but also bringing in third-party data, business data, video feeds, sentiments data, and create them on a single visual dashboard that very quickly gives the stakeholders the information. Is my business services actually running? Is it okay? Can I feel good about the business services that I'm offering to my internal as well as external customer users? And you can have this on a NOC wall for the NOC use case. You can have it on your tablet, or you have it on your phone, wherever you'd like to have that type of dashboard that we are looking into. Very easily you create those dashboards using Microsoft Office toolsets, and actually have more than 1,000 stencils that you can use to create these kind of very graphical, very appealing dashboards for your different stakeholders that you have.
Well, thank you very much, Harold. That was very interesting. We're now going to go beyond just the telling. We're going to do some showing. We've heard a lot about what's possible, but now let's hear from an actual example in the field. We're going to be hearing from David Herrera. He's a cloud service manager at Banco Sabadell in Barcelona. Let's find out about this use case and the use of Micro Focus's technology there.
Banco Sabadell is a fourth largest Spanish banking group. We were under a big project to migrate several systems to the cloud, and we realized that we didn't have any kind of visibility about what is happening into the cloud. We're working with private and public clouds, and it's quite difficult to correlate the information, the events, incidents, and we need to aggregate this information in just one dashboard. And for that, OpsBridge is a perfect solution for us. We start to develop new functionalities over OpsBridge customized for our needs. We have to cooperate with the product development team in order to achieve this. The main benefit is we have a detailed view about what is happening in the cloud. In the dashboard, we are able to show availability, number of resources that we are using almost in real time. Also, we are able to show what is the cost in real time of every resource, and we can do even the projection of the cost of the items. Every single item that we have in the cloud now, even the private and public cloud. The bank has invested a lot of money on the solution, and we need to show them that it's really a good choice in economical terms to migrate several systems to the cloud. And this tool will help us on this. Our response time will be reduced dramatically because we were able to filter and find what is happening and call to the right people to fix the problem quickly. The business department will understand better what we are doing because they will be able to see all the information, also select the information that we are gathering. They are more aligned with our work, and we can develop and deliver better solutions because also we will understand them. We are able to build a new system from scratch that doesn't exist on the market. Now we are able to aggregate a lot of detailed information from different clouds.